Is Stalker Mobile worth playing today? And also, what is it? In recent videos, we stepped through each of the Stalker games and looked at whether the games held up from the perspective of someone who hadn't played through Stalker before. Each game had flavors of jank, both lovable and frustrating, but each time the credits rolled, I was left feeling like I had really enjoyed the time I had spent. After Call of Pripyat, I did some digging and discovered one other game mentioned as an official release, and it definitely piqued my interest. Stalker Mobile. How the hell could they port the Stalker experience to mobile, let alone in 2007 when there wasn't even an app store yet? I'm Remus Venkozid, and let's take a look at Stalker Mobile. What is it? How is it? And to keep things consistent, see if it's worth playing today. I'll just get this out of the way at the start. I have no idea if what I am playing is the actual released version. I couldn't for the life of me track down an official looking release listing, and there are many different versions circulating on various dodgy looking websites, though they all seem to have similar issues present, like the majority of the game being completely silent. I picked a version recommended by this YouTuber, and I've linked to their video in the description if you want to go check it out. Be very careful when downloading any jar files though, especially older ones, as they can have a whole load of nasty stuff inside. With that said, any weird behaviors I mention in this video may be a result of the build that I have, and not completely indicative of the final released product. I have attempted contacting Q-Players for any information regarding the final released version, but they didn't respond, and I don't blame them, as I'm just some random guy asking about a game 20 years too late. Anyway, let's continue. Announced around the same time as the launch of Shadow of Chernobyl, Stalker Mobile was worked on by GSC Game World with Q-Players, and published by No Mock Publishing Company. It aimed to bring not only the 3D shooting experience of Stalker to mobile devices, but also capture the original setting, RPG elements, and provide some extra story which worked in conjunction with Shadow of Chernobyl's plot. All in all, this was a pretty ambitious endeavour, especially when you take into account this was for devices which predate the first iPhone. The story of Stalker Mobile begins with your character waking up surrounded by their dead squad mates after a helicopter crash. The captain of the squad is missing, and you set out from the crash site in search of him. Throughout the game, you will work your way from settlement to settlement, talking to stalkers, gathering info, and accepting tasks. Stalkers will mark your PDA map with locations, and you will head out, clear out the enemies, grab the item, find the missing person, then return. All the usual bits. The conversations with stalkers give some interesting context on life in the zone, though the translation to English is sometimes a bit shaky. Where things get especially interesting is that conversations allow you a couple of different paths to choose from. These choices allow you to respond either helpfully or not helpfully to the stalkers as you try to navigate your way closer to finding the whereabouts of Cap. A couple of responses reward you with new areas on your map to explore, while others make NPCs not want to talk to you anymore. Previews for Stalker Mobile mention multiple endings, but when I played through a second time and selected pretty much the alternate dialogue options, I still got the same ending. Though I did get to see an area that I did not see the first time through. The gameplay is a little basic, but still has some interesting stuff going on. For starters, pretty much everything is on rails. You might as well have a little roller coaster cart in front of your character as you load into an area, shoot whatever pops up, or talk to whoever is around, and then pick a point to zoom off to. There is no cover, and combat is pretty much a shooting gallery. Guy pops up, shoots at you, you move cursor, shoot at them, repeat until either you are dead, or no one else is popping up. There are multiple weapons, but for some reason the pistol is about as effective as any of the rifles. It also has unlimited ammo, so you can spam your way to success. Damage from combat is pretty easy to deal with early on, but the first sewer mission introduces radioactive waste. And if you don't have a rad syringe ready, you will see your health quickly melt away. The game hands out first aid frequently though, so anytime things get a bit hairy, All you simply have to do is go to the menu, which pauses the game, shove a few medkits into your face, and get back to it. One of the more interesting things about this game is that your character has a level system, and when you level up, you are granted a skill point to spend in one of 3 stats. Accuracy gives more chance for your bullets to hit, health gives you more health, strength increases your carry weight. Weirdly enough, when you reach the point of exceeding your weight limit, the game will stop giving you new items. You won't receive random medkits or ammo from dudes you've shot down. You won't even be able to loot items from containers until you lower your weight enough. Apart from these character stats, you get bonuses from gear and also artifacts. Some missions have you cross paths with artifacts as you explore, with familiar names like Jellyfish and Battery from Shadow of Chernobyl popping up. These can be added to your belt and don't seem to have a radioactive effect that needs to be mitigated. Instead, they just have a positive and negative effect like extra health at the cost of accuracy. I really liked being able to grab missions from stalkers and travel out to new maps. Even though the loop is very basic, it kept me somewhat engaged and wanting to see what else would pop up later on. The answer is pretty much the same thing as the start. All enemies are human, though range from bandit to merc to military. I didn't come across any anomalies, apart from the radioactive waste, if that counts, and I didn't see any signs of mutants, which is a shame. I would have loved to see a low-res controller pop up, looking like a straight-up angry crouton. As mentioned earlier, the build I played had mostly no sound past the intro screen. There are 3 sound files that I could find in the unpacked jar: the intro theme, a click, and a gun cocking. I just put on some Stalker music and played along, and to be honest, it was okay. Though I would have loved to hear more of the sounds that were made specifically for the mobile release, as that theme music is pretty great. There were 2 areas that were just black screens with a fire. NPCs were hidden among the darkness, and I ended up having to swipe through each area to try and work out what was available. I'm guessing that didn't end up in the final release. Another janky element is that you don't have access to a map while inside an area. So when it came time to search through a military building for a missing stalker, I quickly became lost, as rooms look pretty similar. As well as this, sometimes doors are hidden around a corner up ahead and you won't be able to tell unless you place your cursor on a random part of the wall. Couple this with the fact that progression through an area is linear, in the sense that you need to reach a specific room before the final room becomes unlocked, and you get the idea that navigating is a bit of a mess. So with all of that said, is it worth playing today? Probably not. It's a cool bit of Stalker history and amazing to see what they managed to get going on some niche hardware, but the missing features, lack of official availability, and chance that your download is a bucket of malicious software means that it's something that you just don't really need to play. If you want to see an entire playthrough without commentary, I'll post one on this channel. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.